welcome to the Builders Coach Show. My name's Hegetschweiler, founder of Builders Coach, and I'm here today with Jessica. How are you doing, Jess?
Yes, very well. Welcome back, everyone. So in today's episode, I want to talk about the event you had a couple of weeks ago, Kurt.
Yes.
The Friday event.
Buy back your time, all about time management, how to be more proactive than reactive. Total success as well. Absolutely loved it.
Awesome. Yes, I heard there were really good vibe in the room and everything went really well. What is one of the things that stood out for you from the day?
Well, let me kick off with the theme for the day, right? Which is obviously time management. It's the first one-day bootcamp that we've ever run that was themed around and totally focused on how to free up more time. All right. So the outcome objective for the day for everyone there, we had about 40 builders that all turned up. Fascinating. 12 people couldn't be there because they're too busy. All right. How's the irony in that? But really, it was about freeing up 10 to 20 hours a week. That was the metric that we were aiming for in the day.
Which would be really relevant for a lot of your clients and any builders out there, right?
Yes, and most were able to achieve it. We went through a process for identifying, we pretty much CAT scanned all the different ways you can free up time, and we'll get into it in a sec, I'm sure. I kicked off by talking about how poor people sell time to make money, and rich people use money to make time.
Yeah.
So for poor people, time is currency, whereas for rich people, they use currency to buy time. So poor people sell time and rich people buy time, essentially.
So my first question to you, what was the main takeaway you wanted to give people that attended the event?
So it was really about awareness of how they spend their time, with a view to, again, freeing up 10 to 20 hours a week, and then allocating the time they free up on higher dollar productive tasks or tasks that are going to generate more value for the business. So one was that awareness, which, let's face it, when you're playing high-speed Tetris in a wind tunnel, like, you lose sight of, what's going on. So we had to stop everything and really look at, step one, how do they spend their time? What are the specific tasks that you as a business owner spend time on each day? What are you doing 7 o'clock on a Monday, and then on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? So we had a good look at that. That's a very practical approach to looking at, the black and white use of time. But there was also another aspect that we looked at, which is possibly even more important or valuable, and that was attention management. Like, where was attention going? Not only attention in terms of the use of time, but things like going through a sales process, you meet with a client, it goes well, but then you don't hear from them. All right, people have all had that happen. Then where does your attention go? Where does your mindset go? For most people, it goes negative. They think, oh, well, that person's working with my competitor, it's gone somewhere else, and they create mental and emotional friction in their head, which then chews up time and energy and can also impact other meetings with clients, prospective clients, part of their team. So I was looking at that, and as well as knowing those high value dollar productive tasks are, and focusing time and energy in those areas.
Sounds like it was a really practical, hands-on one-day bootcamp that you had with your attendees. How did they react to it? Was everyone willing and open to share? Like, what's the atmosphere, the vibe in the room on the day?
Yeah, well, you can never really pick what the vibe's going to be like. It depends on the personalities in the room, but we were really lucky. It was a great group of people. Like I said, we had 40 builders in the room, and they were interacting, sharing. A lot of the value comes from them sharing and also explaining to other builders how they, have made certain changes. We had a lot of clients in the room as well. And then they learned through that sharing of information as well. So great energy, good vibe, steel sharpening steel, which is an important part of the process when you've got a community like ours. We had at least one attendee say, like, he'd never been to an event like that before. So the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. There was a lot of value. Everyone left with a lot of clarity and specifics around what they can do, a specific game plan and changes that they can make to free up time. And then also, it's not just about freeing up time, it's knowing how you will then allocate that time that you free up, and having essentially a new job description for yourself as the business owner, and then also other people on the team. So there's, I'm making it sound really simple, there's more complexity to it than that, but there's a real process for change that we took everyone through. And let's face it, change is not easy for most people. It's challenging, it's painful.
So on the day, I know you had different presenters, although most of the day was pretty much presented by yourself, and you talk about the strategies around time management. Is there one specific item you can maybe discuss a little bit with us and give us a little bit of an insight in terms of what it is?
This is why it's so good to run these events, right? To have a boot camp, because we have like a discussion in a room. It's like a huge group of like-minded people. And then as we talking through different concepts and time management solutions, we sort of bring up new ideas, right? And a combination of different ideas. And it's like you start cooking up new solutions. So we were talking about real fundamentals of time management, which is just, being more proactive than reactive. So how do you do that? You plan your week in advance, ideally on the weekend, maybe on a Friday you plan for the following week. You're looking at what appointments are coming up, what are the most important appointments. Maybe you've got a quote due, you've got to make sure that you allocate or block out time to do that so it gets delivered, and then also check before it gets presented, putting everything in the quote template. And maybe there's site visits or sales appointments. So just checking all those, confirming people, doing call forwards, all that sort of thing. Then there's planning your day in advance. Before you finish your day, you should really be looking at the next day. What are the things that are coming up? If you write a to-do list, you're going to have 20 things, easy, right? 25 things, it's about highlighting. So what are the top 6, maybe 3, maybe 1 thing that needs to get done? So that was something that came up in discussion. Some people have a top 6, some have a top 3 from the list of 20 and they'll highlight them. Some people use highlighters, some just asterisks or whatever it is. Some put those action items in their calendar as a to-do list. But what we found was more important, and again, this came out of conversation, is what happens when your day gets thrown out. So you plan your week, you throw your day, you get a phone call from the school, hey, your kid's sick, kid's broken their arm. Someone had that situation where their kid was in an accident with their bike, they thought they'd broken their arm, their whole day got pulled out. So all of those appointments, and there's nothing more important than your family and your kids, right? So now everything gets moved. So how do you fix that? What's the process solution for that? What we realized is there's 3 things that you can do to accommodate a sudden change or shift in your calendar. It's 80-20 rule. So the 20% of things you do give 80% of your results. It's knowing what those are. So those translate into key performance indicators in someone's job description. Those are the things when you're planning your week that go in first. When something gets moved, so you get ripped out of your day and you got to come back the next day, any KPI activity will get pushed through to the next day. Or ideally someone on your team, the fallback position is they step in and they are trained on that specific KPI activity, so you don't drop the ball. And I use the example of like a restaurant, like if it's your birthday and you're going out for dinner with your friends, if the chef is sick or his daughter breaks her arm and he's got to rush out, they don't go, sorry, your 30th birthday party's cancelled, you're not getting any food tonight. They'll have a contingency plan, right? Like if safety net, someone else will step in and you don't really know the drama that's happening, everything comes out, and the companies have that in place. So 80-20 rule, knowing that 20% of activities or tasks for yourself and everyone else that are critical path, that are crucial. Okay, so that's one thing. Within that, the eat that frog concept, right? So going back to like top 6, top 3, top 1, when you do a to-do list, I highly recommend this, right? Pick the one thing that's the most difficult and the most challenging thing for you to do. The thing that you least likely to want to do because it's uncomfortable. You've got to phone someone because they owe you money, plus you know them, they're a friend. You've got to fire someone, right? You're not going to want to get that over with first thing in the morning. If you had to eat a frog every day, do it. Brian Tracy is the guy that wrote the book, Eat That Frog. There are 21 time management strategies in there. The number 1 overriding strategy was that. And there's stories of guys who ran successful companies doing 40 mil turnover where all the directors had a brass frog on their desk and that's all they did every day. All they did was that when they came into the office, what was that one thing they didn't want to do, and they did it, and they attributed that to significant success. So I'd highly recommend that. The other thing, sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking here, but this is the third and final thing in the story, okay? So you get ripped out of your day. How do you make sure that you don't drop the ball? Because what if it's 2 days? What if it's 3 days? What if it's like the whole team gets diarrhea? So, it's pretty dramatic. What are you going to do? Stand-up meetings. So we've spoken about stand-up meetings with our team, in our team pod. And that is where you look at what happened yesterday, what's happening today, what are the blockers? All right. So if you have a day, yesterday we got pulled out half a day. You're looking back yesterday. Okay. So I woke up, I got to 10 a.m. Boom, I got pulled out. There was an emergency. So today I'm having to do these two things plus the 3 from yesterday that didn't get done. And I'm going to delegate this other one. And yeah, here's the blockers. So if you're doing that every single day and you're 80-20 and you're eating your frog, you should be able to steady the ship. I haven't actually hit the punchline because the overriding thing with all of that is attention management, not time management. Time management's one thing. Like you can block out time to do a quote. I'm going to spend half an hour doing this quote. There's a difference between doing that and eliminating all distractions and making sure you're 100% focused on doing that task, switching your phone off. So that's attention management. And that's what the 80-20 is. That's what Eat That Frog is. And that's what stand-up meetings are. Your attention is being focused on those most important, highest value activities.
With no distractions.
Well, the 0 distractions allows you to focus your attention, like a blowtorch, just laser-like focus. You're just going to set me off on a tangent now, Jess. But focus is the single most important thing for success.
So when you look at your private clients, but also the attendees in the room on the day, and any builder out there, what would you say are the key challenges when it comes to time management for builders?
There's too much to do in a day. Like there's more to do than there are hours in the day. So how do you get it done? And then you get an inefficiency. Someone makes a mistake. There's an issue. Someone doesn't turn up. Someone leaves the company unexpectedly. You have a client that suddenly goes rogue. So you're constantly putting out fires. Worst case scenario, a lot of the fires are created by builders because they don't have proper planning. They haven't got a scheduling tool. They're not, it's a gunshot start, contracts on today, job starts tomorrow. They haven't really thought through, what are the values and the standards that they want to uphold in the company. So they don't have a culture. They don't have a proper recruitment process. So they've got substandard people on their team. They're tolerating them because they're fearful of them leaving. They just can't cope with everything that they need to do.
They struggle to delegate.
There's a lack of trust for delegating because delegating is one thing, but you don't want to abdicate. You can't just turn your back and walk away. Leave it to people that are not competent enough to deal with what's going on. You need process and decent people in place, structure that's there that ensures that there's an element of accountability and control when you turn your back and you delegate. It comes back to attention management. Where do you need to focus your attention? What are some of the key areas we can free up time first? The way to solve problems is to ask the right questions, right? An important question if you're trying to free up time in your business is, what is the biggest inefficiency? Where are you wasting the most amount of time? And we went through an exercise. You and I went through it first before we created the workbook, which was how do you spend your time?
Yeah.
And we had a flow chart of all the tasks in a building company, and we got them to look at those and go through an exercise and then compare notes with other builders in the room for how they spend their time.
Which is really the first step, right? Is to visualize what's happening. Because I'm sure a lot of people would say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't know how to delegate. I don't have enough time, etc. But being able to take a step back, look at your company, look at all these different processes, who's doing what, how is it working? That was the idea of the exercise, right? Is really to try to visualize where are the inefficiency and what should be tackled first.
Step 1 is how do you spend your time? As the owner of the business, why are you driving to the hardware store to go and get something that you could pay an apprentice to do?
Yeah.
In fact, anything that you're doing that you could pay someone $60 an hour or less to do, you shouldn't be doing as the owner of the business. So that was step 1. How are you actually spending your time? And in your defense, if you're not doing that, it's because, again, people are so busy when you have an opportunity to stop and then, take an aerial view of all the tasks in your company, get a pen or a highlighter and start circling the ones that you're involved in. Put an asterisk next to those that you could pass on to someone else, either outsource to a contractor or whatever else. So there was that exercise, which was revealing. But the second part to that was, well, what's the biggest inefficiency? If we look at the front end of the business, which is the sales, the marketing, the pre-construction phase, there's the job delivery, handover, and then maintenance. So what areas are you the bottleneck in the business? For everyone in the room was to not be the bottleneck in your business. Don't be that person where you the one point of contact and things can't flow and move easily. It comes back to the question, what is the biggest inefficiency? And hands down, the biggest inefficiency in this industry is sales. Now, I was speaking to someone this morning, they're doing lots of quotes, they're not converting other quotes. They don't have great marketing. So the quality of the leads coming through that they're spending hours and hours and hours pricing up are not great. And then when they do eventually convert them, sometimes they come all at once. So then they've got 3 jobs starting. That creates an inefficiency because they're running around trying to get them done. Or they can stagger their jobs, but then they all finish at once, and that last 5% of the job is the busiest. So that becomes a thing. So it's about having the front end processes, good sales and marketing, so that they can pick and choose the clients based on not only the quality of the job and the client, but also how they stagger them and job starts. Sales was a big focus for the day. So we went through our sales process and the critical distinctions within the sales process, and then we spoke about optimization, marketing and sales optimization.
And I guess all of this, buying back your time, a lot of people will do it to reinvest in their business, but I imagine a lot of people also were talking about, personal life and just, balancing that work-life experience.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, one of the things that came up using a platform like Upwork, which we've spoken about, right? And guys were saying, they $7 an hour for someone to do, things that you get someone to pay for $30, $40. So we're allocating like an hourly rate to different tasks and looking at where you could outsource those tasks to people who are not necessarily in the office. They could be, somewhere else in a different country and still form the job role. And for a fraction of the cost, we're talking like 10 times less a lot of the time. But yeah, you're right. So what could you do from a personal perspective? Right, there was a guy in the room. He has someone that cooks his meals for him. So him and his wife are very healthy. This woman turns up on a Wednesday, and she doesn't have to cook at his place, but he has asked her to because they've got everything that she needs. She goes and does all the grocery shopping. She turns up, she cooks their meals for a week. And it's all healthy, home-cooked food that's very much in line with diet or eating plan. Everything gets put in containers, just heat it up and eat it. And that can obviously still go out and have dinner or choose to cook for themselves if they want to. But that is, work that out over 12 months. And then there's obvious ones like getting someone to do the pool cleaning, garden, wash your car, look after the kids. There's so many different things where you can free up time, even if it's just so that you can recharge the batteries. Yeah. And I just give you that time, that third space to just relax, recharge.
Quality time with the family.
Yeah, spend quality time with the family whilst someone else is, doing some of those chores, because you work hard the whole week to then come home to a messy, cluttered house where you've then got to do cleaning. Who wants that?
Amazing. Sounds like it was a really successful event. This one was in Sydney, was the first one of a kind. I believe you are heading to Melbourne to do a similar event.
Absolutely. No, it was a really successful event. I'm not just saying that. All our events are well received. I can't think of a one-day workshop or boot camp that we've run where people have gone, hey, didn't really get value. They always get value. This was exceptional. It was really, really good. I'm so excited to be running the same event in Melbourne on Wednesday, the 6th of November. It's the day after the Melbourne Cup. So we've got a few people that are taking 2 days. They're going to treat themselves to the Tuesday at the races, and then they're coming to the Buy Back Your Time Bootcamp on the Wednesday. So make sure you check out the link below in the show notes, and we'd love to have you join us. It's going to be very worth your while, 10 to 20 hours a week that you'll free up.
Awesome. I think that's all we have time for.
That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to like and subscribe. See you on the next one.
Bye, everyone.